And that's really all there. And all these things that we teach you how to do are the same exact way. The deadlift, for example, is it's a real fundamental movement pattern. You're just picking something heavy up off the floor, right? It just so happens that a barbell is ergonomically efficient in terms of picking up heavy weight off the floor. You can't pick up a 400-pound rock off the ground. Well, most people can't. 2 or 3 guys can do that. But you can get anybody, any average size male, to a 405 deadlift within a year because of the fact that a barbell is a very, very friendly object to load with respect to normal human movement mechanics. It fits in. It fits in, right?
Yeah, it doesn't interfere with the way you normally move. Like
right.
It's easy to hold on to. It's easy to attach to your body.
Right.
If the stone is a great example, but even something like an axle or a log, you have to deal with the limitations of the implement.
Right.
So therefore, it's
yes.
not strength training by our definition.
Right.
Because it's not trainable. Right.
Right. If you want to do a log lift overhead, the best way to do that is to invoke the 2-factor model. Get strong with a barbell, and then practice with your log.
Yep.
That's the way we would suggest that to be done.
Because there's a technique component that can be a
yes.
limiting factor, right? Because
the
you
technique,
can have
very serious technique component in a log lift, because you've got to learn how to manage the fact
exactly.
that the log will not slide up in a straight line over your center of mass.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you can deadlift 550, 600 pounds, and if you don't know how to lift the stone, it is like a 300-pound stone. It's not coming off the ground.
No.
But you should have the strength to be able to pick that thing up.
Yes.
But there's a limiting factor that's the technique. So therefore, again, the limiting factor in a deadlift and in a squat and in a press and in a bench press are not, because they're simple. They're fundamental movements. They're simple to do. So technique is not a limiting factor unless you do it really fucking wrong, right?
Right.
So that's another key aspect, another fundamental component of this is that there's no limiting factor that isn't just force production with the barbell lifts.
Right. Right. It fits nicely into the 2-factor model. If you want to train for strength, you need to use a barbell. And if you want to do anything specifically with that strength, then you practice doing that with the specifics of the performance you're trying to train. Right?
Yep.
And I think that's nobody else has stated that but us before. And I think that's terribly important in terms of what we're doing in the weight room. Right. And this is what is specifically what is wrong with functional training, and I don't want to give these guys any time, but functional training is absolutely ignores the fact that in order to produce increased levels of strength, you have to lift heavier weights. And if you're going to lift heavier weights, you've got to lift them in a way that allows you to do that, right?
Well, they've fundamentally chosen to focus on movement rather than force production.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Right. And then as one of the methods they'll use is to load movement in all these various planes and shit, but they don't understand the law of specificity.
Right.
That's fundamentally the problem. They don't understand how shit works. Right. And we understand very clearly the law of specificity, and the law of specificity states that if you train or tells us that if you train for strength, you have a general adaptation that applies to everything. And then anything that's not fundamental as barbell-based strength training is going to have some specificity that may or may not carry over into other things.
That's a very good way to state that. That's a very good way to state that. If you are doing a one-legged anything, then that is a degree of specificity that precludes your ability to increase your total body strength.
Right.
Join us again this week on Starting Strength Radio, where we talk about kind of general stuff. We're going to talk about strength training, what it is, what it isn't, and why we're better than you are. See you then.